Never have I actually thought Trump was my daddy. And Kamala is not our mommy. Now, I realize Drew Barrymore has an effed up mom who put her into the spotlight at this young age and let her do drugs and drink when she was, I think, in the single digits or like 12 at the oldest. That's a sickness, right? She's platformed these people. She leaned in and woke. Now she wants to get away with on Bill Maher. If you've changed, then own that. Own how you've changed, how you've seen the error of your ways. How you won't be kneeling down to the transgender cult anymore. And I'll listen to you. A lot of people have evolutions. I will listen to you. Right now, I think you're just saying what you think you need to say to be popular with Bill Maher's audience.
Oh, right. Let's break down this absolute train wreck of an interview because honestly, I couldn't decide whether to laugh, cringe, or just grab a double whiskey to get through it. Drew Barrymore. Yeah, that Drew Barrymore. The same one who once went viral for that awkward moment with Dylan Mulvaney. Sat down recently with Bill Maher. And let me tell you, this was not the redemption moment she probably imagined. Now, before we even get into what went wrong, let's take a second to talk about Drew herself. She's not just another celebrity, she's Hollywood royalty. A child star who's been in the spotlight since she was barely old enough to understand it. But that kind of fame comes with a cost. She was thrown into the industry way too young, dealing with things like drinking and drugs before most kids even hit their teens. That kind of upbringing sticks with you, it shapes you. And now, years later, she still comes across like someone trying to find her footing, like a balloon drifting without a string, just going wherever the wind takes it. Always adjusting, always trying to match whatever the moment expects her to be. This interview with Maher was supposed to be her big, honest, unfiltered moment. But here's the issue. Being real doesn't really work when you're not fully sure who you are in the first place. What we ended up getting instead was a mix of awkward moments, mixed signals, and that classic Hollywood double talk. And then in comes Megyn Kelly. Megyn didn't just criticize Drew, she went straight through the image. It was sharp, direct, and honestly, pretty brutal. But at the same time, it didn't feel unfair. So here's how it all played out. Drew is sitting there with Maher, nodding along as he talks about free speech. Maher makes the argument that during the Trump era, people felt more open to say what they really thought. But under Biden, he says it felt more like walking through a minefield, one wrong step and everything blows up. Career, reputation, relationships, gone. And whether you agree with Maher or not, you can't ignore the reality behind what he's saying. We all saw it happen. People getting dragged over old tweets from a decade ago. Careers collapsing overnight because they said something that didn't line up with the current narrative. That wasn't just fear. It was something people genuinely experienced.
He had on Drew Barrymore, this again on the podcast, and listen to what she said in SOT 28.
You have a lot of bravado about what you think is the truth or not, but it's just so refreshing. Like you were doing this before it was so dangerous.
Still dangerous.
And it is just way too dangerous now,
Yeah.
but you're still doing it.
It's slightly less dangerous than it was 2 years ago because we did have a vibe change. And because the Democrats lost so badly in 2024, the blush is off the rose on left-wing censorship and, oh my God, you can't say that. Stop telling me what I can do, what I can say, what I can think, who my heroes are supposed to be. Just get the fuck.
But this is where Drew Barrymore steps in and completely drops the ball. She leans forward, wide-eyed, and says, "Oh, it's still too dangerous to speak your real opinions." And that's the moment I had to pause and think, dangerous for who exactly? Because let's not forget, this is the same Drew Barrymore who had no problem giving a platform to Kamala Harris, and who openly praised Dylan Mulvaney like they were some kind of cultural icons.
So he's saying what he's always said, to his credit. He's been very consistent. But there you have Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore talking about how it's still too dangerous to speak out with your real opinions. So what are her real opinions? Because just like Jimmy Kimmel and Sarah Silverman, she's been fueling the fire of wokeism for years. Who could forget how she humiliated herself next to fake, quote unquote, woman, meaning a man, Dylan Mulvaney, who came on her show and was treated like Jesus.
So where was all this concern about free speech back when people were getting shut down left and right? Because during that time, Drew Barrymore seemed completely comfortable going along with the trend. She didn't question it, she leaned into it. That's exactly what Megyn Kelly calls out, and she does it in that signature style of hers. Direct, sharp, no sugarcoating. Her point is pretty simple. If Drew has genuinely changed her perspective, then say it clearly. Be honest about it. Own the shift instead of dancing around it. Because that's what people tend to respect. Clarity, not confusion. But instead, Drew falls back into that familiar Hollywood pattern. Saying what sounds right in the moment, especially in front of Bill Maher's audience, who, let's be honest, aren't exactly eager to hear more vague, recycled talking points.
Oh my God, there's so much wrong with that clip. It's stomach turning. She Leftists need to learn the number one lesson of being happy in life. Do not lean into your problems. Don't lean into crazy. Everyone's had crazy in their lives. The successful, sane ones do not obsess over it, do not want to relive it over and over, do not want to talk about it night and day on their show, do not talk about things like the ground feels safe to me. And they certainly do not literally bend the knee to the cult of transgenderism, Drew, and then talk about how, gee, it feels so dangerous. It's so dangerous, still too dangerous to say how you really feel. About what? What is it? Do you have a reversal on that issue?
And this is where things actually get interesting, because Megyn Kelly brings up a question that's worth thinking about. What if Drew Barrymore really has changed? What if she does have doubts about the talking point she's been repeating, but just doesn't feel comfortable saying it out loud? Because let's be honest, public backlash today can be intense. Step even slightly outside the expected narrative, and the reaction can be fast and harsh. It's not always a simple debate where people disagree and move on. Sometimes it turns into full-blown outrage with real consequences for someone's career and reputation. So maybe Drew does see things differently now. Maybe she looks back at moments like her interview with Dylan Mulvaney and feels uncertain about how it all came across. But instead of clearly explaining her stance, she leans on vague lines like, "It's dangerous," without really saying what she means. And that's where the frustration comes in. When someone speaks in general terms instead of being clear, it leaves people guessing, and that often creates more confusion than clarity. Add to that moments like her friendly, almost overly familiar tone with Kamala Harris, even referring to her as Malala, and you can see why some viewers feel a disconnect. It ends up coming across less like a firm point of view, and more like someone trying to navigate the moment without fully committing either way.
Take a risk. You're in a safe space with Bill. Maybe he should have gotten her out down on the floor, and she would have said how she really felt. You continuously vote for the party and the people who push that bullshit on us. You, madam, are complicit. You hosted Kamala Harris, who says, we all need to be woke. We need to be woke because we just do. That's your person who you actually had on your program and wanted us to call Mamala.
Politicians aren't our parents, and they definitely aren't meant to be some kind of mom or dad figure. That whole trend of labeling leaders like Donald Trump or Kamala Harris in those terms just comes off as awkward and unnecessary. At the end of the day, their role isn't to comfort people or play family. They're supposed to lead, protect freedoms, create opportunities, and keep things stable. That's what actually matters. But someone like Drew Barrymore seems to lean into that more emotional, almost performative side of things. And it probably ties back to her background. Growing up in Hollywood, being in front of cameras from such a young age, you learn quickly how to read a room and say what keeps people happy. The problem is, over time, that instinct can start to look less like authenticity and more like survival. And that's what makes this whole situation feel a bit sad. Because instead of a clear, grounded perspective, it comes across like someone's still trying to stay in the audience's good graces no matter what.
When we lift each other up, we all rise with the mouth quivering, just like the hideous to Dylan. Where do you find the strength to keep being the joy? Where do you find the strength to keep being the joy? Oh my God, she's too far gone. This is what happens when you become a Hollywood actress as a child. You lose your id. You don't know who you are. You're just floating. You're like the Martian, the astronaut disconnected from the spaceship. You're just adrift in space, untethered. You don't know who you are. Where do you find the strength to keep being the joy?
Let's not forget, this is the same Drew Barrymore who literally got down on her knees for Dylan Mulvaney on live TV. She fully bowed to the woke ideology, and now suddenly she's warning everyone about how dangerous it is to speak your mind. Dangerous to who, Drew? Because you weren't worried back when voices were being silenced and careers were being destroyed for speaking out. Back then, you were right there in the front row cheering it on. The only reason she's nervous now? The tide has shifted. Americans are done with the performative wokeness. People are pushing back, mocking it, and you can literally feel the change in the air. That's why Drew's panicking. Speaking the truth isn't dangerous anymore, it's safe. What's actually risky now is clinging to the old woke script when everyone else is waking up.
He's not joyful, okay? He's a sick person, Dylan Mulvaney. He, I believe, may have had his chopped off. He's taking massive amounts of hormones. He's pretending that he is something other than what he is. And I believe, and many others believe too, because he really wants to be famous. He's been wanting to be famous for many, many years. He wasn't able to make it as a man or a gay man or a non-binary man, and now has gone full Eloise. And that's something that you think is brave, and you celebrated openly on your show and told others that they should too.
And let's be fair for a moment. The American actress and talk show host didn't have the most stable childhood. Hollywood threw her into the deep end before she even hit her teens. That leaves marks. It leaves you unsure of who you are, constantly chasing approval, always searching for the next script to follow. You can see it in her interviews. She's not grounded. She's drifting, always trying to find that safe line that will make everyone like her. But here's the thing. Living that way, you end up pleasing no one. And that's exactly what American journalists and political commentators pointed out. She basically said, be yourself, at least in front of every crowd. If you've changed, own it. If you haven't, stop pretending. Right now, Drew is just saying whatever she thinks the audience wants to hear. And that right there, is the definition of inauthentic. But it's not just annoying, it's dangerous. The American actress and talk show host has a platform that reaches millions. One day she's promoting woke talking points, the next, she's warning that free speech is too risky. That inconsistency doesn't just confuse people, it feeds the same culture that shuts voices down. She's not just drifting, she's contributing to the problem.
The nonsense about, who dislikes me the most? Me. Oh my God, this woman has a national platform where she's passing on this craziness to God knows how many viewers. And then we all need a mom? Like, how crazy is that? No, we don't. We all had a mom, believe it or not. Some were good, some weren't great, some were amazing. I'm lucky enough to be in that category. I certainly don't need my politician to be my mom, okay? Not at all. We joke about Trump being daddy because that NATO Secretary General referred to him as such. And it's sort of a joke, like dad's home. He's not actually our dad. And by the way, I lost my dad when I was young. Never have I actually thought Trump was my daddy. And Kamala is not our mommy. Now I realize Drew Barrymore has an effed up mom who put her into the spotlight at this young age and let her do drugs and drink when she was, I think, in the single digits or like 12.
But here's the kicker. Maybe she hasn't changed at all. Maybe the whole thing was just an act. Think about it. She knows Bill Maher's audience isn't exactly woke friendly. So instead of going full progressive, she dials it back. She nods, she smiles, and she acts like she gets it. But do we really believe she's had some sudden political awakening? Or is this just another performance, crafted for the room she's in, given everything we know about her past? I'm leaning toward performance.
That's a sickness, right? She's platformed these people. She leaned into woke. Now she wants to get away with, on Bill Maher, saying it's too dangerous to say how you really feel. About what? You are the one who's been fueling the fire that you now seem to be calling dangerous. I mean, just like the hypocrisy. Be yourself at a minimum in front of all crowds, okay? If you've changed, then own that. own how you've changed, how you've seen the error of your ways. You won't be kneeling down to the transgender cult anymore. And I'll listen to you. A lot of people have evolutions. I will listen to you. Right now, I think you're just saying what you think you need to say to be popular with Bill Maher's audience.
And while we're at it, let's talk about Bill Maher's point about The View, because he hit it dead on. He basically said that Whoopi Goldberg and Joe Scarborough aren't exactly the best representatives for women right now. And he's right. Their takes on politics are often some of the most out-of-touch, reality-detached opinions you'll hear anywhere. Whoopi has practically turned woke talking points into performance art. Meanwhile, Joe can't go 2 minutes without bringing up Donald Trump like he's some recurring character in a sitcom. It's exhausting. And that's exactly why so many people have tuned out of mainstream talk shows. They're not about real discussion or thoughtful debate. They're about pushing a narrative. And audiences are done being lectured.
Here's another comment by Bill on some ladies on The View, SOT 31.
I love Whoopi and Joe. Those are the two I really know. And I did it like a year ago, and I liked everybody, but like I don't know if they're really, at this moment, the best advertisement for women. They just, it's
a format, that show.
They say some things that are just like not helpful, like say to elections. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, they actually are sitting on the floor. And still, she wasn't able to say what's real. Okay. Everyone who watches this show knows that he's right about that too.
So here's where it all lands. The American actress and talk show host had a real chance, a golden opportunity to show growth, admit past mistakes, and actually say something honest. Instead, she sidestepped the issue, hid behind vague words, and came off more lost than ever. An American journalist and political commentator called it exactly as it is. People aren't looking for polished Hollywood doublespeak. They want honesty. They want authenticity. They want voices that actually mean what they say, even if it ruffles feathers. Drew failed that test. And unless she learns to truly own her opinions, whatever they may be, she's gonna keep drifting further into irrelevance. But that's just my take. What about you? Do you think the American actress and talk show host is genuinely changing her views? Or is she just playing the role that will keep the applause coming? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. And don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs a clear look behind the Hollywood smoke and mirrors. Because this isn't just about Drew, it's about all of us, and whether we're willing to stand up for what we believe, even when it's not the popular choice.